Imani Speaks show. You can catch us every Wednesday between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. GMT London. We will be discussing all the subjects that people today are interested in: personal development, health, being black in the 21st century, love and relationship, the subconscious mind, wealth creation, black history, and so much more.
Fantastic show for you. Got a guest, and he is amazing. He's fabulous, and I can't wait for you to hear him. But before he comes on, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about him. I mean, his CV is very long, but I'm going to try and tell you the key bits before he starts. Okay, his name is Malik Muhammad. He's a motivational speaker. He's a best-selling author of 2 books, The 8 Principles of Self-Empowerment and also the Empower Yourself to Succeed. He's also a presenter on a live weekly empowerment show called The Next Step. He's just really amazing, a lovely person, lovely spirit, and I know you're going to warm to him and love him. So without any further ado, I am going to bring on the phenomenal, wonderful Malik Muhammad. Yes! I'm so glad to have you here. So happy to have you and so happy to meet you. Yes.
High school where I was head boy is the same school that Usain Bolt some 10 years later, right, was from, and his family home is probably about 2 miles from mine in the parish of Trelawney, and that was a William Lee Memorial High School. And throughout my years being educated in Jamaica, went on to Monroe College, came here, read law, and for many years specialized in the legal aspects of the law of credit control, of financial credit control as we knew it then. And like many of our listeners now, you have this burning desire to do something, but time and circumstance and commitments may have delayed it. You know what it is, Imani? Right. So what I found was that over the past 3 years, it was really important for me to start living my passion. And so I simply transferred many of the skills that I learned in the law, in the finance sector, and decided to truly push myself to pursue that dream. And since then, as many of us are aware, whenever you focus your mind and start living what you know you're born to do, the universe has a way of opening up. Absolutely. And help and support comes.
Absolutely.
Right? And so after some 10 months of writing, I was blessed to have my book is now being stocked in foils, on the first floor in the mind, body and spirit section. I run various courses and give talks via my website, which is be-motivated.com. And what I find now is that even though there are challenges, there's a certain joy in being able to do what you were born to do.
Because you're doing what you love.
Indeed.
So they become manageable.
Yes, absolutely. And that in essence is where I am to date. There's nothing more important to me right now than being right here, present on your show, because I believe in living in the moment.
Yes,
And many of your listeners may be familiar with Eckhart Tolle or many of the other inspirational persons that they've heard quotes from Anthony Robbins, etc. And Eckhart Tolle has a book called The Power of Now. Right? I seem not
Yeah,
in
it's a great
agreement.
book. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And everything happens in the present. So for me right now, being with you here in the studio on this show, this is what's important right now. Because everything is happening in this moment in time.
And audience, I can feel that he's really present. I can feel, you can feel his energy. I'm sure you can hear that coming through the mic. Really wonderful. So, Malik, can you just go through, because I just wanted to talk about the new book.
Yes.
Do you want to kind of just give a synopsis of that, what people can expect? Because, they want to go out and get your book. So.
Yeah, sure. The book is entitled Empower Yourself to Succeed. And it's based on the 8 principles of self-empowerment. Now, these 8 principles were based on some 14 months of research, whereby I interviewed or spoke with or emailed just under 100 influential people worldwide. And what I found was that in exchange for 5 minutes of their time, anonymously, I asked them what motivated them and what kept them going. Why do they do what they do? Those 3 questions. And what I found, Imani, was that when I did a mathematical graph of their answers, I was then able to realize that there were 8 basic principles or angles that they came from that made them all successful. And this is how I was able to coin the term and come up with the philosophy of the 8 principles of self-empowerment. And that is the basis of the book, Empower Yourself to Succeed. It talks about what self-empowerment is, and it really engages the reader in a very conversational style. So that, for example, my youngest reader is 8 years old, and my most mature reader is 89.
Fantastic.
And they both were able to read it and understand it and get something from it.
Wow, I love the fact that you've done all that research.
Yes.
I think it's fantastic. What I'd like to ask you, can you sort of just define each of the 8 principles for our listening audience?
Sure.
If you don't mind.
Not at all, Imani. Now, they do not run in chronological order. This is not a 12-step program or anything like that. And 1 or 2 or a combination thereof would be applicable to listeners. Appreciation.
I love that.
Right? Which essentially is about giving thanks for what we are blessed with.
Gratitude, yeah.
Right? We may be drinking a glass of water and you may wonder, is the glass half full or half empty? The fact that there is water in there is what we should always be grateful
Focus
for.
on
What you have, what is,
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah.
Right? Then we have, after appreciation, then we have passion, for example, another principle, right? Which is really that inner drive, that the why factor.
The energy.
The energy, indeed,
Yeah.
right? The reason why we do something, right? Passion, then planning, right?
Yes.
Many of us may have ideas and we become deluded, right? We think about doing this, doing that, we dream about things. But as far as I'm concerned, Imani, we can dream as much as we want to,
Yes.
but we must dream and act.
I totally agree.
There has to
Action,
be that connection there.
Yes, yeah.
Right? So we have appreciation, passion, plan. Forgiveness of self.
That's big, isn't it?
Yeah, forgiveness of self. Now, just elaborate for a few moments, if I may. Many of us, when we think of forgiveness, we think about some body outside of ourselves who will forgive us for our sins, etc. Right? No, what I'm saying is this. The divinity comes from within, not from outside of ourselves. And many of us may have done things in our past that we regret. We may have wasted time. We have made wrong decisions. However, we still burden ourselves with the pain and the guilt of having done something wrong.
And that can hold people back, isn't it? It's like a thing that they're carrying.
Yes.
And you want to go forward, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, right? And that burdens us down. And oftentimes we go through our lives and we don't know why we feel sad about certain things, but we're carrying that baggage. Now, I'm not suggesting that we try to forget. What I'm suggesting, however, is that we look at the same situation from another perspective, from a fresh view, right? From a position of forgiving ourselves, coming to peace, starting the healing process within ourselves in order to move on. Because it's very much like a memory stick, whereby if you have a 2 gig memory stick and it's full, it's full.
You can't take
You need to delete some files,
Yes.
right? And I'm suggesting that when we forgive ourselves, we open our hearts and our souls to be more receptive to growth. We create more room
So it's like an
within
inner
ourselves.
cleansing.
Indeed,
that you're talking about.
indeed.
So down, removing stuff,
Yes.
delete stuff that
Yes.
is
Yeah.
no longer valid or.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? Then we have flexibility. Now, certainly for me, I tend to be very military in my thinking. Right? I like things this, that, and methodical, order. Right? However, very much like the willow tree in the breeze or the mahogany tree, whenever a heavy breeze blows, the mahogany tree snaps because it's rigid. The willow tree, however, will bend with the breeze and come back up again. Right? Very much like water. Right? We have to find our own level in life. And so even though we must plan and have a certain amount of discipline, we also have to be able to adapt so that when things go wrong, we don't lose our minds.
Yes.
And that's the essence of flexibility.
Yeah, that is a really good point.
Right?
Yeah.
Then we have the final three, if you will. As I mentioned earlier about having discipline, but also being able to adapt, right? One of the main ways that we become successful in empowering ourselves is by self-discipline.
Very important, isn't it?
If you don't get up and study, you can't expect to pass the examination.
Not at all.
If you don't go to the gym, you can't have that body you desire.
That you desire.
If you don't go to the hairdresser, the hair, unless you are able to do it yourself,
You're not gonna
you would
get-
not have it,
yeah.
right? You have to do something and have that sort of inner drive and self-discipline to make it happen, right? And many of us sometimes want results, but are unprepared or unwilling to do the work. So self-discipline is therefore another very important principle of self-empowerment.
What do you think stops people, about what sort of, why they're not as disciplined? They want things, but they just don't seem to be able to pick them up. So they might get started, but then, what do you think is the problem there?
I think one of the main problems in my experience is that we talk ourselves out of it. No, I don't know about you, Imani, but I hear voices every day in my head. Right? Right?
I'm not alone.
You understand? Right. Yeah. So what you find is that for many of us, these voices become louder and louder
Yes.
as the days go by. You say to yourself, right, I will do this course. The minute that goes into the atmosphere, another voice says, but you work hard, the children, the family, you can't afford it. And all of these doubts come in. And after a while, they come into a crescendo and they come like an orchestra
Wow.
to a whisper, a positive whisper. So as opposed to, I will do it, you then hear, you can't, you're too old, this, you're that. And before you know it, Imani, we start believing this. Right? And as we think, so we act, so we believe, so we function. And so I would say, therefore, that one of the major ways that we hold ourselves back is by giving ourselves the negative language. The doubt that comes through.
Yeah.
Right? And in the area known as neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, they talk about the word sound power, which is equivalent to what Rastafarians talk about in the word sound, for example. Right? Whereby when we utter negativities, words like I can't, maybe I'll try,
Yes. Yeah.
they have negative connotations.
Yes,
And the more we reaffirm these mantras, is the more we start believing them, and then the negative belief systems become our reality.
So we're kind of dancing to a wrong tune.
Absolutely.
And we need to change that.
Absolutely. And then we have vision and reconnection as the other two principles of empowerment. And vision is not the same as dreaming, right? Many of us may dream big, but vision is when you have that dream and make it a reality. You take the necessary steps to make it happen. So you can dream of being rich. You can dream of putting your children through university. You can dream of traveling to the Caribbean or the motherland once a year. You can dream all you want. But when you visualize it, when you see it in your mind's eye and you start taking consistent steps, in other words, you start at the end. So you see yourself.
Yeah. Actually, someone asked about visualization last week.
Yes.
That's a really important part of
It
achieving
absolutely
goals,
is.
isn't it?
Yes, right. And the thing is, because many of us as human beings, we are said to learn in three fundamental ways, right? Whether it be visual, auditory, or kinesthetic.
Yes.
That's a generalization,
Yes.
right? And we know the generalizations are just overall themes and groups, right? None of us learn individually one way. It's a combination of all three and then some. And so when we see things in our mind's eye, we move towards it. We make it happen.
So, but we've got to see the right things, because I suppose if you're visualizing, I can't do it. Yeah.
Absolutely, right? And that is where, as we mentioned earlier on about the negative belief systems, what we say to ourselves is very important on a daily basis. It's very important
No, I
because
totally agree.
we are, in many ways, our greatest enemies.
I agree. We're first, aren't we?
Indeed.
We're the main protagonist. To us,
Indeed,
yeah.
Imani, indeed. And the final principle of self-empowerment is therefore reconnection. And by reconnection, that is about getting back to the essence of ourselves. So whether you are religious or spiritual, or whether you believe in a higher force or lower force, whether we call it higher intelligence, God, Yahweh, Jah, Buddha, Allah, whatever term we use, it's that unseen power that we credit that gives us balance in the universe.
Absolutely.
And I feel this is important because before our cell phones were made, it was an idea in someone's mind. It was an unseen reality, then it became seen.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
all that there is really energy and becomes manifested and shaped and formed. So there is an unseen reality. We're not concerned here with the names that what we use. That's irrelevant.
Yes. Yeah.
That's another silly
Yeah.
trick that the left brain
That's-
feeds on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So Jesus isn't the same as Allah, isn't the same as His Spirit Majesty, so therefore you cannot connect. But as human beings,
Yes.
irrespective of class, color, sexual orientation, religious affiliation, etc., there is a common thread in humanity, which is why the book sells so well. And this theory works because we focus on human excellence,
Yes.
irrespective of your background, etc. Because there's a common thread that runs through humanity that we then express via our culture and our own experience. And that, in essence, is the 8 principles of self-empowerment.
Principles. I mean, I think those are really, really valuable, really important. And
Yes.
I think if people actually took those 8 principles and started to use them, utilize them, it would make a difference.
Most certainly.
And
most
how would
certainly.
you say for you these 8 principles have added to your life?
One of the most difficult things is that when you're blessed to be the vessel for certain magnificent work, some of us can allow ego to get in the way, right? And I say this because I put my name on the book for legal reasons, because we're living in a real world, and you have to protect
Yes.
that which you are blessed to bring forth into the world. However, on a deeper level, what I find is that I was simply the vessel for these ideas. They are not new, they are not fresh. I'm simply presenting them from another perspective, based on my own understanding and my experience to date. So I try my best to apply these in my life, because as the major proponent of this school of thought, I find that I need to some extent, or to a large extent, bear witness to the fact that they work.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And because they are in the universe, then I cannot take exclusive credit for it. Just as the vessel that is bringing it forward now in 2013 and beyond. And so there are times that I feel as if the future may be a little trying, little self-doubt creeps in, right? And I just reconnect, find that yoga mat, do a meditation.
Yeah. Oh, well, actually, I want to talk to you about
Yes.
yoga because
Okay.
I noticed in your resume that you do yoga.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, how yoga is? How do you sort of put that together with meditation? Because I presume that goes hand in hand.
Yeah. Basically, Imani, what I find is that it's important to gather truth from as many sources that we connect with, right? And so for me, what yoga does is it helps me in a physical level, but also on a spiritual level, linking it to meditation, is that it gives me a moment in time each day where I can just find peace within my soul, irrespective of what's going on in the world. And just having a few moments each day helps me to be a better man each day,
Yes.
right? So that's what yoga does for me. In terms of meditation itself, for me it's as crude as sitting quietly for a few minutes. Not in some mountain, becoming a monk or anything, no. Just sitting quietly for a few moments and just listening to my heartbeat.
Absolutely.
As
Do you
simple
feel
as
a
that.
little bit as though I've heard it said we should be working towards our life becoming being a meditation?
Yeah.
Is in you can be anywhere, little
Yeah.
Oxford Circus,
Yes.
busy,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
you can find that inner stillness.
That is absolutely true, yeah. I find it works, and I only bear witness to it because it works for me.
Yes.
So therefore I recommend it.
Of course.
You know, someone else may find just being quiet with music working, and I enjoy music also, right? Because we have to really stimulate all our senses.
Absolutely.
You know, and use what we have at our disposal. Because self-empowerment is really about finding practical tools
Yes.
to use to achieve a particular goal at a point in time in your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So whatever you have at your disposal, which is of good, because you can visualize to be a good thief.
That's very true.
You can visualize to rob a bank.
Yes,
You can
exactly.
visualize to create maim in society and do it exceedingly well.
So for the better, you always say for the greater good.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
right? It's the positive affirmations and the positive goals that are important.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Because whatever you put your mind to, you will achieve. You know, so I recommend, however, that we focus more on the positive and eliminate the negative.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's why I find the principles work overall in combination, and it's an ongoing learning process. So wherever I find truth, wherever I find tools that resonate,
You utilise
then
it.
I utilize. It's all part of spiritual development and human excellence as well.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. You've got an event coming up,
Yes, man.
On
Yes,
Sunday,
yes, absolutely.
which I'm
This
going to go
Sunday.
to.
Yes, man. I look forward
Yeah.
to seeing you. Absolutely.
And I know you're going to share some powerful tools
Yes.
with your audience.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell the listeners what they're going to be missing out on if they do not get themselves down to that event?
Well, let's put it this way, listeners. You know, there comes a point in our lives when we have to ask ourselves, if not now, when? Right? How long are we prepared to put off doing that which we know we're capable of doing? As we mentioned earlier on about visualizing, you know, all of us dream big because in our subconscious minds we know that we were born to be great.
Absolutely.
So coming on Sunday is the difference between getting the tools and not getting the tools. Right? It's about reaching that point whereby you will see how you can become a greater individual than you are already. Because when it comes to improving ourselves, there are no limitations. It's
Absolutely.
infinite.
Absolutely.
And that is the power, that is the excitement of empowering ourselves.
Yes, yeah.
And so on Sunday, this Sunday the 12th of May, over there at the West Green Learning Centre at Parkview, West Green Road, N15, N15, 3QR, between 6 and 9 p.m. Myself and other top UK-based inspirational experts will be sharing tools, naturally the 8 principles of self-empowerment, as I found in my book, but equally, if not more important, you'll be able to associate with like-minded people
That is important.
and successful people
That is-
to form joint ventures
Yes.
and build solid business relationships.
Wow.
Right? Notice I don't use that vulgar term networking.
Yeah. That,
Right?
yeah.
No,
I love-
because
I
everything is
love
about
that.
relationships.
It is so true.
Right?
So true.
One of the reasons, as you know, Imani, why I'm here is because we know a mutual person,
Yes.
right? And based on their interaction with me over the years, we made a connection and I'm here now.
Yeah.
Right? I'm blessed to be on your show. I therefore recommend other people, etc., etc. It's about the relationship,
Definitely. Totally agree
right?
with that.
And you know, in these times of austerity and global hardships, we have to look at the immediate tools we can use to move forward. And building solid business relationships is very, very important,
Absolutely.
right?
What kind of people? Who would you? You know, I think everybody needs this, but who would
Yes.
you sort of? You know, people who might think it's not for them.
Yes.
How would you kind of say to them, look, you know, even if you're in this situation
Yes.
or whatever,
Yes.
you know, how would you bring it home to them that, you know, they need to be there?
I would say this: you are not your circumstances.
Yeah.
Right? Anyone listening to us now or under the influence of our voice globally, I would say, remember, you are not your circumstances. I grew up in Jamaica, as I mentioned earlier on, and when I was the head boy of my institution, we wear a uniform there called khaki, Khaki.
Yeah.
All right?
I know.
The trousers and the shirt, right? For those listeners who are unfamiliar. And I had one shirt and one pair of trousers as the head boy of my institution, right? And now that I'm able to change my shirts every day and have my suits made for me, etc., even as far as Hong Kong, I do not forget, Imani,
Yes.
right, what the lessons of having one uniform meant.
Yeah.
So now I still take care of my clothing extremely well.
Yes.
because there was a time in my subconscious reality whereby that one shirt represented a better life. Right? So I would say to listeners, based on my own humble experience, I had to dream big. I had to visualize myself in a better place. And just the notion of that is what kept me going.
Because that's all you need, is it? That mind that is working and just dreaming.
Absolutely.
And then take the action.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Right? In addition to that, I think many of us underestimate the power of a good support system.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
That grandmother who would pray for you. That mother who would sacrifice a pair of shoes that you can have a good pair of shoes to go to school. That relative who said a prayer for you or sent you their last euro, yen, pound or dollar. Right? That person in your area who would say to you, yes, you have a bright future. That support system
It's needed.
needed and is invaluable. Right? And equally as important, it's that self-belief. Earlier on we mentioned about the importance of sending positive messages to ourselves. Right? For every time we felt that spark inside of us, that sense that we could dream, we could do it. I'm just suggesting that we hold on to that one feeling and go back to it every single time we feel down, because we are not our circumstances.
Wow.
The brighter day does exist.
That's really powerful, Malik. So you're saying, even if things are not good now, remember some time where things were good.
That's right.
And use that.
That's right.
It's almost like you're throwing that out as
Yeah. Hold on to it. Hold on to it. Right? I remember when reading one of the most powerful autobiographies I've ever read in my life, which is the autobiography of Assata Shakur. Right? And she talks about the fact that she was imprisoned for many years. Okay, there was a time when she came out, she's now in political asylum in Cuba.
Yes.
Right?
I've seen her
Now,
story, yes.
I am not promoting or critiquing the facts or the wherewithal of her story. I am going, however, on the principle that when she was in that cell, to the point whereby she had no human contact, so she lost the ability to speak when she came out. Right? She never gave up the thoughts of being free.
It was always there.
Always there.
Yeah.
And she was physically confined. Right? In the news this week, a few days ago, well, 24 hours ago, we learned about these 3 women who were held captive in Cleveland, Ohio, for over between 9 and 12 years.
I was so surprised when I saw that story.
Indeed.
Yes.
Right? Can you imagine what went through their minds, listeners, right? While they were in such horrendous circumstances. And today, they are physically free. You know?
You know they must have been just thinking, I'm going to get out of here.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Right? When we look back, irrespective of our culture, right? The potato famine and those hard times in Ireland, right? People now suffering in Palestine, right? People of African descent who went through the slave trade, the physical slave trade, etc.
Yeah.
There was, within the DNA, within the racial memory of human beings, a day when even though we may not physically experience that, but that those in our lineage one day would experience it.
Yes.
And so for you and I being culturally sensitive now, for you and I to be here in this place, in this time, in this microphone on your show, people hundreds of years ago prayed for this day,
Yes.
right? And that is the power of positive thinking.
That is so wonderful what you've said there. Wow.
You know? Yeah, that's the harsh reality. And so
Yes.
now, even
It's
though
almost like we not how would you, but you want to do this because you have to.
Indeed.
It's our,
Indeed.
we have to.
Indeed.
We owe
And,
them.
and every generation has a responsibility to play their part. Right? You know, the great social philosopher, some would say singer, Robert Nesta Marley, known as Bob Marley, spoke of there's a natural mystic flowing through the air. And if you listen carefully, you will hear. Right there we have a simple principle of empowerment, whereby if you listen carefully, you have to do something.
Yes.
Imani, you have to do something.
Yeah.
You have to act. It's not sufficient to romanticize and dream. You must visualize and do. And this is the essence of self-empowerment. And as human beings, irrespective of where we are in the world, it is so important to make sure that we keep on moving forward and making progress. That's how I would assess that.
Okay. There's a lot of people listening.
Yes.
A lot of people
Give thanks, give
are
thanks.
enjoying the show.
Give thanks.
Let's just, should we give
Special
them a big
shout out.
Yeah, should we give them a
Absolutely.
shout out?
Yes.
So we've got Esther, we've got Michelle, and we've got. Okay. Oh, that's me.
Right. Well, we have quite a few people who are tuning in. And you know what, Imani? It's really a testimony to your skill and your style as a presenter. Right. We're big up here to Esther McIntosh, Michelle Grant, Mark Bailey, Chris Within, African Moore, Jews Hall Ashes. And one of the questions that listeners are asking us, Imani, is what is the key to positive thinking and how do we maintain it?
Wow. Sorry, my listeners. I had to put my glasses on. It's that thing. The eyes ain't what they used to be.
No,
so I handed over to the lovely Malik, who took over for me. So thank you so much for calling in and keep listening. We've got more gems. So shall we answer that question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
What is the key to positive thinking and how do we maintain it? Well, I'd humbly break it down into two parts, if I may, Imani. What is the key to positive thinking? I think everything starts from within. And so when we value listeners, when we value ourselves as the special human beings that we are, without apology, without doubt, when we value who we are and understand that we were born winners,
Yes.
right? Millions of sperm compete to touch that one egg.
Oh my God, yes.
The womb was therefore a hostile environment. But you and I, we came through and we made it.
Yeah.
So we were therefore born biologically and naturally winners.
Yes.
We came out of our mother's wombs as winners. So we know how to win
Yes.
because the sperm had intelligence.
And that is still there.
It's still there.
We just have to tap into it.
And it's in the tapping into it now, which is the second part of the question. How do we maintain it now? It's by we get help. We use practical tools. We look at our culture, right? We commit ourselves to the process of moving forward,
Yes.
right? And this is done relative to who and how and where we are. There is no one way to do this. There are general principles, but they're also culturally sensitive. So for instance, everyone does not have to be religious in order to make progress. That is one of the greatest fantasies that individual groups will use to keep people coming back for more,
Yes. Yes.
right? But when it comes to self-empowerment, this is a human right, and the tools are available. So, for example, giving practical tips for the listeners who asked this question, the listener who asked this question,
Yes.
the thing that you always wanted to do, I'm saying now, listener, write it down. As opposed to putting it on a laptop or putting it in your BlackBerry or putting it on your iPhone, write it down because there is a natural mystic that flows from your mind through your hand onto the paper.
Yes. Honestly,
You find it, man?
Yes. Yeah, there's something special about you become a creator, don't you?
That's
When
right.
There's something about the writing
Yes. Yeah.
that is different from the
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because it's a spiritual vibration coming through your person as you release it into society.
Yeah.
And then you look at that goal and you start taking small, consistent steps. Small, consistent steps. So, for example, if you're someone who has a problem with tardiness, you just reach everywhere late on principle, right?
Yes. Yes.
I say this. Chances are your day starts off late. And that energy applies throughout the entire day.
So where you start in your
So
day.
where you start in your day is so important. So for example, many of us as human beings, listeners, are creatures of habit. This is why the rat race is the way it is. This is why rush hour is the way it is. Because we are programmed to act at a particular way at a particular time.
Yes.
So the trains, they charge more during the rush hour.
Right. So there's
Right?
They take
Your
advantage of
stomach
that.
growls automatically between 12 and 2 because you've been programmed to accept that is when you eat. You get agitated around 5:36 because you've been programmed to believe this is when you must go home.
Creatures of habit.
Creatures of habit. So therefore, when we create a new paradigm in our minds, when we have a different reference point, if we get up, for example, on average at 7 a.m. one morning, and I spoke about this the other day during my interview on Islam channel. If you get up, for example, at 7 a.m. each morning, generally speaking, Try getting up at 6:45.
So
It's a small step.
Difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? My grandmother often said, for those who are familiar with Jamaican patois, one cocoa full basket. In other words, if you have one apple or one mango or one ground provision called the cocoa, right? If you put one into a basket and you continue to put 3, 4, 5, eventually it will be full.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So the small, insignificant apple or orange on its own is not as powerful. But when you continue,
To keep
when you keep putting one in,
Yes.
one and one and one, it multiplies
Excellent.
and it fills up. Right? Now, taking that example and applying it as a practical tool, as listeners, if we are able to take small, consistent steps in our everyday lives towards a particular goal, the Chinese mention that the longest journey begins with the first step.
First step, yeah.
You keep moving in that direction, you'll get there eventually. It's about staying in the process and using small, consistent steps. It really is that simple. And this is why the way we think to ourselves, as the listener asked, what is the key to positive thinking? It starts off with self-belief, positive self-belief.
Yes. Yeah.
Accepting ourselves even physically as we are. Right?
Yeah.
Looking in that mirror
And
and
being-
appreciating what we physically see.
I mean, just being here in a form is
Absolutely.
we're
Right?
blessed. All of us.
Absolutely.
Anybody.
Right?
Yeah.
And loving what we see in the mirror.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the media, for those of us in the media, we know that we are the main perpetrators of a standard of beauty, for instance, or a way of being, a way of dressing. And I'm suggesting, listeners, that even though we all conform in some shape, we have to compromise because we live in a society. However, do not take away that individuality. Don't lose your uniqueness.
yourself, yeah.
Don't lose yourself in the madness. Because that unique thing about you, listener, is what makes you so powerful.
Oh, wow.
That's the essence of your self-empowerment. That one quirk,
Yes.
that little strange thing about you,
That you
that
do.
is why you are here in this world.
Yes.
So embrace it.
Wow.
Throw yourself into that. Love what you see in the mirror. Enjoy who
Love
you are.
you, yeah.
Love you.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And that's not the same as being narcissistic or anything like
No.
that. Not being full of ego.
Yes.
But self-confidence and self-power, that is the basis for positive thinking. Then when you know what you're worth, you know, for many of us, we may know about this media campaign from a certain cosmetics company, because you're worth it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
They don't advertise on your show, so we shan't say their names. But the point is, because you are worth it,
Yes.
is why you're able to walk so boldly in the world and go, as they say in Star Trek, into places where no man or woman has ever gone before. This is what gives us that power to move forward, irrespective of our culture or our backgrounds or our history. What you were doesn't mean you have to be that way now.
Not at all. And I feel with young people, because I'm
Yes.
I'm sure we've got a lot of young people
Indeed.
listening to
Indeed.
the show. It starts from from children.
Yes.
How like parents telling them making them feel good about themselves.
Yes.
And what have you got to say about that for like young people? How do you?
Yeah, what I find is I will be 46 in July, okay? And when I speak in pupil referral units, for example, or speak in assemblies, I let the younger audience know that I do not understand your world, okay? It's arrogant of us who are
Totally.
more chronologically mature,
Yeah.
not necessarily mentally, but certainly chronologically
age,
mature,
yeah.
right? And then
Don't
to assume that
assume.
we understand their world,
Absolutely, totally
right?
agree with
I
that.
never grew up with a cell phone,
Never do
right? I am getting more familiar with my iPhone now, right? I don't claim to be an expert,
I? So,
but if I pass it to my 11-year-old niece, she knows exactly what to
What to
do
do with it.
without a manual, without a quick start,
yes,
right? So I think it's important for us to realize that it's a mutually beneficial learning process, right? And I say to them, I don't understand your world, so we are learning from each other. But what I do
Respect.
know based on my experience is that you will be going on a particular road by virtue of nature. When you become a teenager, you lose your mind and believe you understand the entire world.
yes. You mean
Right?
everything? Nobody can talk
Indeed.
to you. Yeah, yeah.
Right? That will happen to you. And when you are leading up to the preteen years, you start to question things and your body starts to change,
Change,
etc.
yeah.
Right? In your 20s, you go through finding out who you are, And that may continue into your 70s, or you may have made a decision to start defining who you are and living your purpose. And so for young people, I simply say this, that it's important for them to really look at their future and visualize what they want for themselves. You are never too young to start dreaming. You're never too young to dream big and think big. Irrespective of what we may think, being chronologically older, irrespective of what we may think about quote-unquote young people nowadays, they are one of the best generations that we have. Why? Because it's their time.
Totally agree.
It's their time. And it's arrogant of us as so-called seniors to look down on them. Their expressions in terms of...
They're our future. How can we look down on our future?
Indeed.
You know, they're magnificent.
Indeed, right? Their cultural expressions in music, in dress sense, etc.
Amazing. Yeah.
Right? That is their expression because of their time.
Where
If
they
we
are.
look back, only a few years back, when we were teenagers, we went through the same issues of rebellion, and we expressed ourselves in a very unique way.
In a unique way, definitely.
They're doing it in their time.
Yes.
I do not understand some of the lyrics in a grime track.
I'm
And
afraid I'm the same.
I have a fairly good command of the English language, and I know they're speaking English, but I do not understand the essence of some of these tracks. Not because I'm stupid,
No.
but because I am not culturally in tune with that expression. But it's no different from the music that came up out of our experience at that time. And so the principles remain the same, even though the expression is different. And so I think it's therefore important to form a very strategic and compassionate alliance with younger people, right? Understanding boundaries, because boundaries are important. This nonsense where some parents say, my child is my friend, I will never ever support such a doctrine.
Totally agree with that.
Because I think it's detrimental to the growth of young people. There must be boundaries.
Absolutely.
Society has boundaries. As human beings, we function within boundaries. And we define said boundaries. And so self-discipline, being also one of the 8 principles of empowerment, is important. Your child is not your friend. Your child is your child. You're responsible for them.
Absolutely.
And ironically, Imani, what I find is that young people actually like boundaries.
I agree.
The strictest uncle or aunt, that's the uncle or aunt that they gravitate
really
towards.
like
And those of us who are lenient and come with this new age parenting, they see us
get
for the idiots that we are.
Yeah, you really get sort of pushed around. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to really form strategic alliances with them, understand their world, and speak with them.
Yeah.
Not just talk down to, have a conversation with.
Because I think that's what they really need, don't they?
They crave that.
Really need understanding.
They crave
feel
that.
it's okay to be me.
Yes.
And just listen to me.
Imani, that
Listening is
could
such
not,
an important thing, isn't it?
you couldn't put it more beautifully, right? No, when they have that sense of confidence to know that, you know what, as they are, the essence of them is fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Right? You may look different, you may appear different, you may think differently. That's fine. That's the essence of you.
Yeah.
And that is what self-empowerment is really about.
Absolutely. Wow. Loads and loads and loads of gems there for you people. Like I said to you, isn't he marvellous? Isn't he fantastic? It's just coming, just flowing. I mean, we've been talking for nearly an hour.
Serious?
Yes.
Well, they often say time flies when you're having fun,
Yes.
And it's a credit to yourself and your style, because you're able to connect. And seriously, listeners, this is no plug for Imani Speaks, but I do recommend you tune in every single week. It's an honor for me to be here, and there are times when I do some interviews and they can be very trying and very draining. For me, this interview is inspiring, and it's really a really good moment in time.
That is so wonderful.
So I thank you. That's the
Thank
bottom
you.
line.
I mean, you've made it a good. This is my first interview. On,
I would never have thought so.
Radio, and
I would
just
never have
really,
thought so, man.
Really
I would
enjoy
never
it
have
and
thought
just
so.
made it so wonderful. Now I know you've got to go.
Yes.
But have you got anything that you want to leave our listeners? Any tips? Anything that you think this is something that is important to you and you want to share it with them?
Yeah, well, in the spirit of giving, because one of my core values is giving, and I'd like to offer if I may, a gift to your listeners. It's for you, Imani, so that whenever you want to use it in your show, it's fine. But I'm going to offer a free 30-minute consultation with myself, really about goal setting. All right, it's a course I offer on my website, which is be-motivated.com. That's be-motiv, the number 8, the letter D.com. And the number 8 because it's about the 8 principles of empowerment. It's a course I offer on the website, but I like to offer your listeners a free 30-minute consultation, really about goal setting, you know. And the way we work is that many of us in my field, we have an arrogant attitude of telling people what to do. My approach is totally different. The answer is already inside of you, the individual, because we focus on self-empowerment. It's inside you already. All we're doing here is giving tools, we're drawing it out, right? In Latin, the word education comes from the root word educare, which is to bring out. That's already within. And that's the philosophy that we use in terms of self-empowerment and looking at the 8 principles, because it's already inside of you. All we're providing, if anything, are some tools, some ideas to help bring that out and help you stay focused on your journey. Because we all need help, Imani. I have a mentor, I have a coach, right?
Can you just very, very quickly talk about why it's important, to have a mentor, have a coach, or, why that's, important for people?
Yeah, sure. I firmly believe, listeners, in us having coaches and mentors, because no man or woman is an island, right? None of us have all that we need in the abundance that we need to move forward. And so getting help is very important. There's no shame in the game of getting help. What I would say in addition to that is that, listeners, we must be discerning from whom and where we seek such help.
Yes.
That is the issue that makes many of us not want to have a coach or have a mentor or seek counsel or get support, right? Because we're concerned that we have got wrong advice from the wrong people at the wrong time. And all I suggest is that you look at someone who you clearly see can aid you in your journey. In neuro-linguistic programming, they talk about modeling, whereby if you want to do something, crudely put, listeners, you want to do something, look at somebody who's done it, right? And look at how they did it. Look
That's
at
so
how they went about getting what they got, and copy them, model them.
And be okay with that.
Be okay with it. It's fine, because it's a principle that works. But again, just be very discerning. As I said earlier on, there's no point in wanting to be a good thief and then looking at thieves who are now doing time in prison, etc. No.
Not a good
Right?
idea.
It has to be a positive vibration, right? And you model. And that, to me, is why it's so important to have mentors, to have coaches, to have a support system, as we mentioned earlier on in our discussion. Very, very important. And the thing is, it makes sense and it works.
Can you just repeat that, where they can get this free goal setting?
Yeah, sure.
30 minutes.
It
Can
will
you
be,
repeat that again?
I run it via my website, but exclusively, listeners, this will only come through Imani Speaks. Okay, so whether she offers it as a gift next week or the end of this program or 2 weeks after, right, it has to be only through Imani Speaks. And how we will regulate that is that Imani Speaks and the wonderful host here will contact me direct with your name, etc. And then we start the work. All right, and my website again, be-motivated.com. And for the 12th of May, I really would advise you to be at the Ultimate Self-Empowerment Seminar, because if you are UK based, it's probably the first time that you will have a range of UK based experts, which is very important, because empowerment is also culturally and geographically sensitive. There are certain unique issues and unique understandings that take place in the United Kingdom that are totally different to Jamaica, to other islands in the Caribbean, to the motherland, to the US, etc. And so this is why this seminar is so important, and it's the first of its kind in the United Kingdom. That's taking place this Sunday between 6 and 9 p.m.
You have to be there.
No, absolutely. You can hit up the ultimate.
How do they get tickets?
The Ultimate Self-Empowerment Seminar.eventbrite.co.uk. We will also be taking a limited amount of persons on the door on the day, and it's still £15. I advise people to book it via the website because this sort of event, once we're full, you'll have to then sign up for my one-day intensive course or wait until the next seminar that we're running over the summer. If not now, when? Why delay? Life is too important, too precious. So go online now, event at the Ultimate Self-Empowerment Seminar.eventbrite.co.uk. Reserve your place, book your ticket now.
Can we just note that the Bright is, it's written in a different way?
Yes. Yes. Thank you for that, Imani. That's Eventbrite, which is EVENT, B, R for Robert, I for Imani, T for Terry, E for Egg. Right? That's eventbrite.co.uk. Or you can hit me up on my cell number, which is 07958 514 554. That's 07958 514 554. You may be a stall holder and wish to share your wares with the world. Ring that number also, and we have a limited amount of stalls on the day, which will be open from 5 p.m. until 9 p.m. And you'll be capturing a very discerning audience with disposable income. So you're guaranteed to make a profit.
You need to be there. Malik,
yes,
just
man.
saying good things about the show. Boom show,
Give
great
thanks.
energy, and
Give thanks.
ting,
Give
ting,
thanks. Give thanks.
dingo.
Give thanks. Give thanks.
So
Dingo.
people
Give thanks.
are loving
Dingo.
you.
Give
and
thanks.
I knew they would.
Give
And they're
thanks.
loving the show, and I know they're going to be there. I know I'm going to be there. So please, my listening audience, please come and we can meet Malik, and we can get these tools.
Absolutely, man.
And do some amazing things for 2013.
Yes, and I will also be signing copies of my book on the day as well.
Wow.
All right, I'm going to do a one-on-one book signing, but we're going to limit it to one picture per person, right? Because my arms will be tired. I will autograph them all, right? And it's the first edition of the book. And not to be morbid, but the first edition is a very special edition, right? It'll be worth a lot in the event of my passing, transcending into another life. But there is, as Mutaburuka says, there's no life in death and there's no death in life. So it's the whole transition process, right? And for everyone listening, just remember that this is your time, and as Imani mentioned earlier on about 2013, for those who are familiar with the Mayan calendar, one of the major issues with 2012 was that the Mayan calendar ended, right? And so 2013 is therefore a time of rebirth. Now, whether listeners you subscribe to that school of thought or not, the principle is this: the time is now. There is no time like the present.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow's not guaranteed.
Definitely.
As we're sharing now, Imani, who knows what this later on tonight may bring, but we do have now.
Yes.
And the urgency and the respect that time deserves, as far as I'm concerned, is to be celebrated every single moment of every single day. And it is that sort of joy, listeners, that helps us to rise above our circumstances, right? Irrespective of how financially challenged we may be right now. Think of a better day and a better time. Think on that and act accordingly.
Yes.
Being successful is a very personal definition. And I want to just mention this, if I may, man.
Oh my gosh, yes,
because you
please.
see, when it comes to success, some of us may equate success with being rich. No, success is success, being rich is being rich. You can see success as being rich, but they are not interdependent. You may be someone right now, listeners, who has issues with reading fluently. Your goal may be to be able to read 2 pages of a book by December, because you have to be specific and time your goals, or you would be wanting to achieve that over a lifetime. No, we don't have time to waste like that, right? We have to think smart and act smart. So when you achieve that in December, you have been successful.
Yes. And it's important to mark that, isn't it?
Indeed. Right? Which leads quite beautifully on in mind to my next point, whereby reward yourself.
Yes.
Celebrate. Right? Do not be bashful or feel embarrassed about celebrating your achievements. When you have done something great and you've worked hard, then celebrate. You may want to buy yourself that pair of shoes. You may want to get yourself a copy of Empower Yourself to Succeed.
Yes.
Right? You may want to make that trip. Go into a city and window shop your heart out. What I'm saying is relative to your circumstances. Do not put your hat where your hands can't reach it. right? But you must celebrate.
You must celebrate.
Right? Dr.
Yeah.
Naim Akbar, a great African-American psychologist, talks about the importance of celebrating.
That does something, doesn't it?
Celebrate.
It registers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Be joyful. Right? Don't party like an idiot 24/7.
No.
Right? Everything in balance.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, in terms of positivity. But do spend time, listeners, to celebrate your achievements. Right? Your child may have just passed an examination. Right? I'm not saying you have to go to the Ritz, but if you can afford it, go to the finest restaurant. Cook the finest meal at home. Right? Send your child a card.
Give them incentive.
Some kind of incentive. Tell your partner on a daily basis that you appreciate them in your life. Ring up that cousin or that auntie you haven't spoken to for the past 3-4 years because you have been quote unquote too busy. Even though you have Facebook, LinkedIn, Skype, Twitter.
Wow. Yes.
Probably 3 minutes on your cell phone.
Absolutely.
But you've been too busy. No. I'm suggesting stop, look, listen right now and give them a call.
Wow.
Celebrate. Be joyful. Because in the midst of all the despair and disaster in the world and these times of austerity, there is still much to be thankful for.
Definitely.
You know,
Definitely.
and that's what I would say, man, in terms of, you know, ending on a positive note.
I'm grateful for this, you know, what we've got now.
Yes.
I can just imagine how people are feeling hearing this. They're writing in droves saying,
You know, and
it's
listen, we
wonderful.
give thanks now because really what we are sharing, as we mentioned earlier on in our discussion, I go back to what Bob Marley said, it's a natural mystic flowing through the ear, right?
Yeah.
Because we have been receptive to the good energy, the listeners feel that. And so it really vibrates throughout the entire audience, you know. Our producer this evening, you know, via you, via me, we're sending that energy through into the atmosphere. So globally now, everyone under the influence of our voices and those who will listen to the playback of the show will feel that energy. And everything is essentially energy, right? There's one final point. When it comes to quantum physics, there's a school of thought that if you have 4 hypotheses or 4 ways of looking at energy, they may be 4 different ways, right? Me, you, the producer this evening, we may have 3 different sorts of energy. Which one's right, which one's wrong? Which hypothesis makes sense, which hypothesis will work? All will work because energy will take the form, the vessel from which it emanates. So whatever we put into the universe, so it will be.
So it will be.
You know, many religious people, in my humble opinion, have a warped view of that principle, right? Because we can impact our future. We can do this. Or else why are we here? Right? So if I had one khaki shirt and one pair of trousers when I was 10, 11 years old, and I believed that it's all I deserved in the world, then I would still, by virtue of that thinking,
Yes.
be this way now. But thinking beyond that, creating a whole new paradigm, a whole new way of referencing the situation, knowing that I was not my circumstances then, knowing that we are not our circumstances, when we can visualize that promised land of a better day, that is what keeps us going.
So it's about believing and not feeling scared of your big dreams and dream big.
Absolutely.
Realise it's like an ocean. You can either go with a thimble with holes in it, or you can go with, a pipeline.
Imani, speak to the people. Speak to the people.
So,
it is that simple.
Wow.
You see, and you see, this is why this medium, as we're conversing now, having this wonderful conversation, we are able to gather. We're able to gather so much more based on what we share and how we feel, that no matter where we are in the universe, right, that energy comes through, right, that whole thought process. And as we mentioned earlier on, all of us need help and support.
Definitely.
And it's an ongoing process. And this is why we never stop learning. This is why we need mentors and coaches. This is why the Ultimate Self-Empowerment Seminar on the 12th of May is named this way. Because it is no hype. We are saying the ultimate, the pinnacle, the apex, the best. As Muhammad Ali put it, the greatest.
The greatest. Yeah.
Because that's how we are. Standard, basic. As the youth say in their vernacular, no long thing. Simple things. That's the essence of us. And so we use these words of power and these positive affirmations to remind ourselves of just how great, how special, and how loved we are in the universe.
Yes.
And we therefore live out that reality through
Powerful.
tools and positive affirmations.
Powerful, honestly, absolutely. Oh, wow. So Malik, I'm really looking forward to Sunday, and I'm going to, when you've gone, I'm still going to keep reiterating to our audience, about Sunday and why they should go, and just keep reminding them.
And man, I really want to thank you and the team here at Nubian House Media for the invitation. I pray that for listeners throughout the globe, that something that we have shared in this conversation will resonate with you, and that you will take even one small thing. So whether you came in to the show feeling a little down or a little lethargic, or whether you came in totally hyped, that you will rise even higher, and certainly the positive vibration from your host Imani will really resonate with you. I use the word resonate again because it's all about the vibration, and it's really been a pleasure being here with you. And if ever you want me back and our schedules can cross and we can make it happen,
I think the audience hearing that, we know the answer. We definitely want you back. Basically, it's in your hands when you're ready to come back. Definitely want you back. It's been fantastic. I'm just so happy.
I'm going to tune into the rest of the show on my iPhone on the way.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Malik.
Listeners, take good care. Peace and blessings. Thank you.
You take care.
You too.
And I look forward to seeing you on Sunday.
Yes, absolutely, Sunday.
There's another shout. Hold on, let me just read this out to you before you go. Hold on. We have got somebody else here. John.
Yes.
Good stuff, and the show is very inspirational. Big up your guest. Yes.
Give
I'm
thanks,
bigging him up.
John,
yes.
Give thanks. All
Yes.
listeners worldwide. Yeah? Give thanks. Yep. All right.
Oh, gosh. This has been lovely. Wonderful. What are your thoughts, Minty?
I know Malik, so it's all good, man.
Yes. Yeah, Minty's here and he's enjoying it as well. So we're going to play a nice tune for you. And Malik, thank you so much. And see you on Sunday.
In your mind, yeah. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind if you wanna be. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind if you wanna be free. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind if you wanna be. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind. Yes, I'm an optimist, I don't come to miss, and I know that the sun will shine. There'll be some dark clouds, but I will stand proud, cause I'm looking for the silver line. Things may seem bad, but still I won't be sad. I've got faith in the great divine, and the good book tells me heaven is a state of mind. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind if you wanna be. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind if you wanna be free. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind if you wanna be. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind. Hey, you choose your heaven where righteousness dwell. Don't get caught in a Satan's spell. Bad thought would only send you go to hell. Think positive and all will be well, I say. Hey, yes, hey. Cause as a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind if you wanna be. As a man thinketh. It's all in your mind. Yeah. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind if you wanna be. As a is he. Elevate your mind if you wanna be free. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind if you wanna be. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind. Yeah. Yes, I'm an optimist. I don't come to miss, and I know that the sun will shine. There'll be some dark clouds, but I will stand proud, cause I'm looking for the silver line. Things may seem bad, but still I won't be sad. I've got faith in the great divine, and the good book tells me heaven is a state of mind. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind if you wanna be. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind if you wanna be free. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind if you wanna be. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind. Hey. You choose your heaven where righteousness dwell. Don't get caught in a Satan's spell. Bad thought would only send you go to hell. Think positive and all will be well, I say. Hey, yes, hey. Cause as a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind if you wanna be. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind if you wanna be. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind. Set your soul free, yeah, oh, well, yeah. Hey. Live like a king, yeah. If you wanna live like a king, yeah, yeah. Whoa, whoa. Cause as a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind if you wanna be. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind if you wanna be. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind. Hey, say I'm an optimist and I don't come to miss. Yes, I know that the sun will shine. There'll be some dark clouds, but I will stand proud, cause I'm looking for the silver line. Things may seem bad, but still I won't be sad. I've got faith in the great divine, and the good book tells me Zion is a state of mind. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind if you wanna be. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind if you wanna be free. As a man thinketh, so is he. Elevate your mind if you wanna be.
Information, extend the knowledge. Pass the information, extend the knowledge.
John Coltrane said, "I love supreme." I interpret that to all living things. Donny Hathaway said, "The ghetto." Woody Shaw said, "Why?" John F. Kennedy said, "Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country."
Pass the information, extend the knowledge.
Martin Luther King said, "I have a dream." Stevie Wonder said, "Inner visions, interpretation, watch with your ears." Aretha Franklin said, "Respect." Barry White said, "Love." Nina Simone said, "To be young, gifted, and black." James Brown said, "Stay in school." Cannonball Adderley said, "Sometimes we're not prepared for adversity. Mercy, mercy, mercy." Oliver Nelson said, stolen moments. Isley Brothers said, harvest for the world. I know there can be better
knowledge. Pass the information. Extend the knowledge. Pass the information.
Rodney Franklin says you'll never know. Hubert Law said, say it with silence. Nancy Wilson said, guess who I saw today? Earth, wind, and fire said, keep your head to the sky. I know there is a force far wiser than I. The Creator has a master plan. From the pen of Leon Thomas and Pharoah Sanders. Alex Haley said, roots. Gerald Wilson said, you better believe it. Charlie Parker said, now is the time. Wake up! Billie Holiday said, God bless the child. LTD said, love, togetherness, and devotion. Bobby Bland said, as soon as the weather breaks. Sam Cooke said, you sing me. Roy Ayers says, believe in yourself. Gil Scott Heron said, winter in America. Hugh Masekela said, grazing in the grass. Richard Pryor said, how long? How long will it take for us to become one? How long will it take for us to become unified? How long will it take us to understand the meaning of understanding? How long will it take us to do what we have to do that is most important? How long will it take our priorities to oversee? How long is how long it will take us? We must see beyond the obvious. Focusing and pursue. Love. Wake up. See beyond the obvious. Remember the past so you can deal with the future. Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Marcus Garvey, Rick Holmes, Miriam Makeba, Richard Pryor, Adam Clayton Powell, Martin Luther King, Elijah Muhammad, W.B. Du Bois, Frederick Douglass, Nat Turner, Tom Bradley, Barbara Jordan, Shirley Chisholm, Ron Dellums, Andrew Young, Anwar Sadat, Clara Holmes, George Washington Carver, Cesar Chavez, Sidney Poitier, Count Basie, Duke Ellington, Fats Navarro, Art Taylor, Fats Watt, Bill Robbins, Eric Dawson, Rassan Roller Paul Roby, Stevie Wonder, Minnie Riperton, Louis Armstrong. All of these people and more have made strong contributions to mankind because of their compassion and humanitarianism, dealing with their self-identification. Based around love and unity, these men are now profound and prolific. Factor that. These men and women have made their great contributions to mankind. We are to pass it on to the next generation. We shall never forget. Remember to never forget.
How long? How long?
How long? It's how long?
How long?
How long? How long will it take? How long will it take? How long will it take, man? For us to come together. It take us as long as you make it. May I prolong your life. Life for you to live and to give. The generation to do. Focus. Did you computerize? Are you on time with time?
Okay, my wonderful audience, listening audience, wasn't that a great show from the wonderful Malik? So many gems, so many nuggets. You know, he's just such a lovely spirit, And, I really do want to reiterate that you should get yourself over to the event, the Ultimate Self-Empowerment Seminar on Sunday. Anyway, what I want to do, I've got something I want to play for you. It's really sort of carrying on from the goal setting theme and, why you should follow your dreams and go for it. So I'm going to play that for you, and I hope you enjoy it. And again, it's been wonderful. My second week with you, it's just been wonderful. All the texts, all the emails, everything's just been wonderful. And to the silent listeners as well, I know you're out there as well, so I give you a big up as well. So anyway, I'm going to play this thing for you, and just enjoy.
Hello, this is Jerry Clark, and I want to welcome all of you to Murphy's Committee, the Interferers of Magic. I am so excited about the material we're going to discuss on this tape. It is absolutely some of my favorite information to share with people who still have that twinkle in their eye. People like you who still have dreams and who sincerely want to turn their dreams into reality. Why do I say those who still have dreams, you may ask? Well, I'll be willing to bet $1 million that you, and yes, I do mean you, have already been pursuing your dreams, your goals, and your aspirations, and that most of you are still coming up empty-handed. I truly respect each and every last one of you listening to this tape program because you have not given up. You see, we all grow up as children with dreams of being somebody, with dreams of being great. But most of us, slowly but surely, get our dreams beaten out of us through the hardships and the daily challenges of life. And the easiest thing to do when you get slapped across the face a few times by life is to give up. And unfortunately, that's what most people do. But then there are a few driven individuals like you who want to know, what is that outside force that tends to slap people across the face when they're pursuing their dreams and their goals and their aspirations? And what can you do to beat this strange force at their own game? Well, I'm here to tell you that the name of this strange force who wants to stop you from accomplishing your goals and your dreams is called Murphy's Committee. Murphy's Committee has a group of 5 members who have set up an operation in the universe that will test a person's level of commitment to the dreams, goals, and aspirations in which they're pursuing. I call them the interferers of magic. Briefly, let me give you a background on how this concept came to me. When I was 18 years old, I had developed a goal to be a millionaire by the age of 25 because at that age, I thought success was strictly a monetary accomplishment. Therefore, anything that anyone did that didn't involve making money, I thought was an absolute waste of time. Everything I did had something to do with making money. If I wasn't actually working to make money, I was studying something that I thought could make me money. I couldn't understand how people could read a book just for the enjoyment or the pleasure of it. I couldn't see how they could just sit back and watch TV for hours unless it had something to do with how they can better their financial situation. I couldn't see how people could work hard all week just to have the ability to go to parties and nightclubs on the weekend so they could spend all of their money on drinking and drugs and so forth. I mean, people would actually do things to themselves over the weekend that by the time Monday arrived, they had forgotten what they did. It was the most meaningless and ridiculous behavior I had ever heard or seen in my entire life. The bottom line is that I stayed focused on money-making endeavors, and by the time I had reached the age of 19, I was rolling in the money. I was barely out of puberty, but I was making more money than most lawyers and doctors made. I was well on my way to becoming a bona fide self-made millionaire, so I had to play the part. I started buying Italian suits, Rolex watches, and silk underwear. The money was coming in faster than I could figure out what to do with them, and so I started buying fancy cars. One of the cars I bought was a candy apple red Mercedes-Benz SL with chrome rims. This thing was incredible. People everywhere thought I was a drug dealer. Even the ones that knew that I would never deal or use drugs thought I had to be one because they couldn't figure out where all this money was coming from. Even the police department where I lived did a big background investigation on me. They actually called a Mercedes-Benz dealership and asked how I purchased the car. They had cops trying to be friends with me so they can figure out what I was up to. They seriously thought I was doing something illegal. They thought that the legitimate businesses that I had were only cover-ups for some illegal operation I was up to. It was absolutely amazing all the theories that people had with what I was doing. They actually spent mental energy trying to figure it out when all they had to do was kindly ask me and I would have gladly showed anyone. Well, the fact of the matter is they didn't ask and I didn't care. I just went about my own business of making money. I remember people telling me that I should stop and smell the roses, but I couldn't figure out how smelling roses could make me a millionaire by 25. I didn't even develop serious and committed relationships with my girlfriends because I thought that they would only slow me down. I was on track to making it big in America and I was loving every bit of it. By the time I reached 21, I had worked so hard and had made so much money that I thought I had arrived. By this time, I also started feeling very tired and worn out. I literally slept approximately 14 to 16 hours per week. Yes, that's 2 to 3 hours per night, and I did this for nearly 4 years. The toll on my body had finally caught up with me. I had completely burnt out. I was physically exhausted. I quit working all of my income-generating businesses and started spending the small fortune I had accumulated. I started hanging out in Beverly Hills and living like the rich and famous. I stayed at expensive hotels and dined at fancy restaurants. Before I knew it, I had spent tens of thousands of dollars and maxed out all of my credit cards. I remember looking at my savings account and seeing only $8,000 left. I was used to spending that in a month. This is when I realized that I was broke and that I was too tired to do anything about it. I remember thinking my life is over because I believed that once you have zero cash, once you had nothing at all left, that's it, you're gone. Well, to my amazing discovery, when I had finally reached zero cash, I realized I was still breathing. I was still alive. I found out that you can actually go past zero, that you can actually have less than nothing and still be alive. I had another revelation while I was down and out. I kept thinking that there had to be a way for me to get back on my feet. There just had to be a way. And you know what? You ask and you shall, what? Receive, exactly. Well, I asked, and about 75 days later, I received the answer. I went outside one morning and I discovered my cars were gone. You see, the lesson I learned was that missing 2 car payments would get you back on your feet because now I had to get good at walking. My bills were piling up, creditors were calling daily, some were even knocking on my door. I eventually had to move back home with my mom. I got terribly out of shape and I didn't shave for months. I stayed in a low down and depressed state for about 8 months. I couldn't believe what had happened. The excellent credit in which I had deliberately developed was destroyed. All of the fancy cars, expensive jewelry, Italian suits, and portable phones, the $3,000 to $5,000 in cash that I always carried, foolishly by the way, in my glove compartment was all gone. The house I was to buy at 22 was now just a memory. What had happened? I thought, why did this happen to me? I was a 100% legitimate young man doing my best to make it in America. I went to college for 4 years like I was told to. I got good grades. I didn't drink. I didn't smoke. I didn't do drugs. I didn't even drink coffee. All I wanted to do was show people that it's possible to achieve their dreams if they only followed the recipe of going to school, getting good grades, working hard at a job or jobs, and being committed to their work. How could this have happened? I stayed in this condition for 8 months trying to figure it out, and I had to come up with some sort of explanation just to keep my sanity. I remember one night I was listening to a tape by Les Brown, and I remember him saying that the messengers of misery paid him a visit on several occasions while he was pursuing his dreams. He was relating this to Murphy's Law, which states that whatever could go wrong probably will. During this time, I also came across a book written by a guy named Scott Alexander named Rhinoceros Success. It has some interesting principles and analogies. It talked about how some people are like cows and some are like rhinos. Since Scott first published his book back in 1980, many other marketing companies use this analogy for illustrating certain points to their sales force. Anyway, it was during this time that I created Murphy's Committee. I combined what I had heard from Les Brown and what I had read from Scott Alexander and called the entire concept Murphy's Committee. Now, I understand that Murphy's Committee is an imaginary committee created by me in my own mind as a way to understand and deal with what was happening to me at that particular stage of my life. And it has been instrumental in dealing with all the challenges which has come my way since then. And over the years, I've also shared this concept with people who've been facing some difficulties and some challenges in their lives, and they said it was very helpful to them. You see, anything that you want to accomplish that's of any significant magnitude can only be found on the other side of the jungle. It's obvious that the jungle is not the safest place to be. In order to survive the dangers of the jungle, you have to be in a peak mental and physical condition. You must have thick skin, a strong heart, and a charging spirit. These are some of the characteristics of a rhinoceros. You see, rhinos have thick skin, about 2 to 3 inches worth, so that all the gnats and the bugs and even the occasional arrows won't kill them. It bounces right off and they just keep charging through the jungle. They are rarely bothered by other creatures in the jungle, and they rarely bother any of the other creatures themselves. Overall, they're peaceful creatures who are very focused on what they want. However, if you get in their way, watch out. You have 2 to 3 tons of pure rhino charging at you head down with a horn that it will stick in various dark places in your body. Ouch! You see, I believe that we're all born with the rhino spirit, but most of us are trained to be cows. Cows are passive creatures who graze through the pastures, accepting whatever comes their way. Cows don't believe that they can take control of their life and create their destiny. They are what I call volunteer victims of the. They voluntarily give up their freedom for a mediocre existence. I mean, if you give a cow a regular income, some medical benefits, a couple of weeks per year of paid vacations, throw in a life insurance policy and promise them a pension that's going to pay them 30% of what wasn't enough in the first place, and a cow would give you their life for it. Cows try their best to live a risk-free existence in the pastures. If it's easy, they want it. If it's comfortable, they'll take it. If it's normal and traditional, they're open to it. And if all the other cows are doing it, then it must be the right thing to do. They have been conveniently programmed to believe that they don't have a choice on how their life turns out. They just do what the system tells them they must do in order to be successful. For example, they are told to go to school, get a good education so that way they can get their good job with a big and stable company. While at this job, all they have to do is work hard, be loyal and industrious, and after 20 or 30 years, they'll find themselves in upper management positions with stock options. And by the time they retire, they're told that they'll be set for life. You'll have a great pension and Social Security. Oh, security. They love that word. And they'll have a wad that's big enough to choke a horse. Well, what usually happens is this. They get up in the morning to fight traffic while going to work. Then they work all day while constantly watching the clock. Then they fight traffic on the way back home from work. They eat a little dinner, they watch TV, they take a shower, and they go to bed so they can repeat the same thing over the next day. They spend their whole week looking forward to the 2 days they have off. Then they complain because they have more month left at the end of the money. Family vacations consist of driving to the nearest campsite for the weekend. Or if they happen to fly to another city, they stay in cheap hotels and justify by saying, well, we're not going to spend much time here anyway, so let's just go ahead and stay in this cheap place. Everything cows do consists of tight budgets, and they constantly worry about not being able to pay their rent for occupying their space on the cow pasture. Now, don't get me wrong, even young rhinos in training occasionally may feel the same way, but they keep charging and they keep creating. You see, cows don't believe in creation. They believe in competition. They are constantly looking at the other cows to see if their grass is greener. Well, by the time they reach the point that they're supposed to retire, and the system tells them right around 65 years of age, they usually say something like this. Moo. The bottom line is this: they get the feeling that they've been had, but they still can't figure out what happened. They think of all the things they wanted to do, but never got a chance to do, and they wonder what their life would have been like if only they had done this, or if only they had done that. By this time, they realize that they are headed for the slaughterhouse. Cows live the most depressing lives that exist on our planet. And what's even more depressing than that is that they make up a majority of our population, at least 90%. Rhinos, on the other hand, believe in excitement and adventure. They thrive on the dynamic energy and challenges that exist only in the jungle. They couldn't handle the passivity and the mediocrity of the cow pastures. There's nothing there but grass and manure. Rhinos realize that on one side of the jungle is the cow pastures, and on the other side is the land of paradise. And all of their high aspirations, their goals, their desires are found on the side of where the land of paradise exists. Rhinos realize that there's danger in the jungle. They know that reaching the other side will not be easy, but easy is not an option for them, because if success was easy, guess what? It wouldn't be success. It would be mediocrity. You see, it's easy to be broke, poor, miserable, unhappy, and overweight. It's easy to be bored and frustrated. It's easy to give up your freedom. It's easy to sit in the cow pastures and watch TV every day and wonder why you're not getting anywhere. It's easy to give up on your dreams, your goals, and your aspirations. It's easy to just sit there and listen to these tapes without completing the exercises. It's easy to just sit passively and watch things happen. Rhinos don't sit back and watch things happen. They make things happen. They don't wait for their circumstances they want. They create the circumstances they want. They don't focus on all the problems of life. They focus on the solution. Rhinos take action, massive action, towards the attainment of their goals. Rhinos realize the power of their mind, and they learn and utilize the tools and strategies that will help them get what they want out of life. And most importantly, they understand that even though taking advantage of the tools and strategies that exist today is great and powerful, it is even more powerful to get off their butts and take action. You see, with thought, what you want is brought to you, and with action, it is received. This entire concept of rhinos, cows, and the jungle is just a way to let you know that even though you apply these principles, and even though you apply the concepts and the strategies and so forth, it's not going to be a cakewalk to your dreams. If this was the case, then everyone would be in line to enter the jungle. However, out of 100% of our population, only 10% will enter the jungle, and out of those 10% that enter, only 30% of them will make it across to the land of paradise. The other 70% will either return to the cow pastures or die in the jungle. Therefore, only 3% of our population will ever make it to the other side of the jungle. The other 97% end up either dead or dead broke. They end up dependent on their friends, family, or the federal government for their main source of income. Now, if so far you've been bothered by this discussion of cows and rhinos, it means one or two things. Number one, you are currently a rhino in training who somehow is confused wandering around in the cow pastures. Deep down inside, you know you don't belong in the pastures, but you've forgotten where the jungle entrance is. Or number two, you have been systematically inbred and trained and conditioned as a cow, and you're wondering why you're even listening to this tape program. You may believe that all this talk about cows, rhinos, in the jungle is the silliest thing you've ever heard. And by the way, Wheel of Fortune or some other TV program is on and you should be watching it, you're thinking. Well, if you're a rhino in training lost in the cow pastures, don't worry, because you're right on track to get back to the jungle. You are most likely the one who either completed all of the exercises contained in the Creating Magic series, or you already think you know it all. Well, if you didn't complete the exercises because you think you know it all, that is probably the main reason why you're not accomplishing your dreams. That is probably the main reason why you find yourself lost in the cow pastures. That is probably the main reason why you're kind of lost and thinking, good grief, where am I? I'm not supposed to be here. If you feel that you're a conditioned cow, don't feel too bad, because at least you're still listening. That's a good sign. It means your rhino spirit is being released. And the more you listen to these tapes, and the more you listen to other tapes on personal empowerment and read books and go to seminars and so forth, the more your power is going to be released. The more of that genie that lies within you is going to be released, and it's going to be revealed right there in front of you. The key point to remember is what I said earlier in this tape. Everyone, and I do mean everyone, is born with the spirit of a rhino, but most of us are trained to be cows. I say this because we all came here with an incredible drive. After all, we won our first race. Let me explain. You see, we had to outswim millions of other sperm in order to be the first to get to and fertilize the egg. It was an uphill swim, and we made it first. As far as I'm concerned, everyone that exists on this planet has the rhino spirit deep inside of them and is a winner. It's just that some of us are more brainwashed than others. We are brainwashed to believe that we can achieve, that we can't have all that we really want, that we have to be mediocre, and that the best way to deal with our situation of being broke and miserable and unfulfilled is to understand that we will get all the greater things in life when we're dead and go to heaven. Well, listen, I'm all into going to heaven and so forth, but I'm not into living in hell in order to get there. I believe that you can create your own heaven on earth right now if you learn the proper strategies and apply them. You have the power to create magic in all areas of your life. And like I said before, you can create a heaven on earth right now if you decide to, or you can create a hell on earth right now if you decide to. The choice is yours. Just understand that no one said it's going to be easy. You will most definitely have visits from Murphy along the way, especially if you decide to enter the jungle. You're going to find out more about Murphy's Committee and how they operate. You will learn how to identify Murphy's Committee member when they pay you a visit, and you will learn how to beat them at their own game and enter the land of paradise. In the land of paradise, you can be what you want to be. You can do what you want to do, and you can have what you want to have, but you don't have to worry about the price. You will learn how to develop the thick rhino skin so that you can endure the challenges which will surely come your way during your incredible journey through the jungle. Okay, everyone, we're back. I apologize for a slight interruption there. I know the thunderstorm, it was kind of difficult to talk through all that, but this happens frequently when you're in the jungle, and there's a lot of other challenges that take place also. Okay, now that you know that on one side of the jungle is the cow pastures, and on the other side is the land of paradise, the first course of action is to make a decision to enter the jungle, and when there, to stay long enough to make it to the other side. You understand that we're all born with the rhino spirit, but most of us have been trained to be cows. We talked about the fact that only 10% of our entire population will even decide to enter the jungle, and only 3% of our population will actually make it across. Okay, where does Murphy's Committee come into play? Well, remember I said that Murphy's Committee consists of a council of 5 who have set up an operation in the universe that will test a person's level of commitment to their dreams, the goals and aspirations in which they're pursuing? Once again, I call them the Interferers of Magic. Their main job is to see if they can stop as many people as possible from making it across the jungle. Therefore, once you decide to enter the jungle, you better be prepared for some visits from the various council members that exist on Murphy's Committee. You see, all I'm doing right now is preparing you because I know that many of you have your affirmations prepared, you're excited about achieving them, you got your goals written down, but you may not be expecting, or you may not be willing to deal with what Murphy's Committee in the jungle has in store for you. This is why it's important for you to know why you want to achieve what it is you most desire. Since I first entered the jungle in 1987, I've seen a lot of people come and I've seen a lot of people go. Some last longer than others, some re-enter the jungle at a later date, but many of them become what I call COJs, casualties of the jungle, never to return again. I mean, they accept the slow-paced mediocrity of the cow pastures for the rest of their lives. Murphy's Committee got the best of them. Let me share with you some of the tactics and some of the tricks that Murphy's Committee may pull on you in order to get you to exit the jungle. Murphy number 1 usually sends your family and friends after you when you first enter the jungle. They try to tell you to return to the cow pastures where it's safe and secure. They tell you that, look, there's a lot of real jobs in the cow pastures, and they warn you of all the dangers of the jungle. They tell you that there's no regular paycheck in the jungle, and by the way, there's a greater risk of disease in the jungle, and there's no medical benefits there. So you definitely want to make sure you get back to the cow pastures and get your medical benefits. They tell you all of the poor souls who failed miserably in the jungle, and maybe a couple of them are COJs, casualties of the jungle. Besides, none of your other family members have made it to the other side, so what makes you think you can? You may as well accept your existence as a cow. After all, you don't have to take as many risks, and it doesn't take too much to survive. This shot from Murphy number 1 is enough to make most people return to the cow pastures. After all, they love their family, and they don't want to really hurt their feelings anyway. That arrow that came from Murphy number 1 quickly penetrated through their thin skin and did enough damage for them to leave the jungle and return to the pastures. I see a lot of people leaving the jungle for this reason. But some people are more in tune with their rhino spirit. Thus, they keep charging through the jungle. Now it's time for Murphy number 2 to go to work on you. The strategy that Murphy number 2 used on me was to help get me in a situation where at the age of 21, I was burnt out and couldn't pay my bills. He figured that by having my cars repossessed and by sending the creditors after me, that would surely make me exit the jungle. And believe you me, I did feel that arrow. But one of my jungle buddies helped take that arrow out of me. And by the way, he told me that my skin was getting thicker. This encouraged me, and I actually stayed in the jungle because of this reason. Nevertheless, this is a major and highly effective strategy that Murphy number 2 used to make sure people exit the jungle. And sure enough, many of them do. The few that remained in the jungle is laughed at by Murphy number 3 because he knows that his powerful strategies can surely make people leave the jungle. Murphy number 3 plays heavily with your emotions. The strategy that he used on me was setting me up in a situation where I began to fall in love with a beautiful young woman who wanted to live comfortably in the cow pastures. Well, sure enough, situations occurred where I found myself living in the cow pastures with this young and beautiful woman. I even got a job in the pastures. And after a while, I couldn't take living and working in the cow pastures. I started becoming irritated and frustrated. I didn't fit in with the cows very well because they all noticed the horn that was starting to grow out of my head. I simply couldn't hide the fact that I was a developing rhino. You see, most cows have a hard time spending time with rhinos, and most rhinos have a hard time spending lots of time with cows. Rhinos are constantly talking about positive things, about their dreams and their goals, about their jungle adventures, and about the possibility of bringing their newfound cow companion in the jungle with them so they can make it on the other side together. Cows get nervous when rhinos start talking about these things. Cows like to complain about the things that went wrong at work and not being able to pay their bills. And they like to discuss trivial and negative issues, such as what happened on the news or how bad the economy is. The bottom line is I had to return to the jungle, and I really wanted to take this woman with me. But the energy, the excitement, and the risk of the jungle were too much for her. She decided to stay away from rhinos, and I decided to return to the jungle. It was a painful experience, and Murphy number 3 was surprised to see me back. He had did a great job playing with my emotions, and I even acknowledged him for it. But I told him that the jungle is where I belong, and that's where I will stay until I make it to the other side. I vowed to only fall in love with women who were promising young developing rhinos themselves instead of trying to make them rhinos. He was impressed with my determination, and so were the other committee members. You see, only a handful of people make it past Murphy number 3. Well, nevertheless, Murphy number 4 and Murphy number 5 were determined to stop me, and they're going to be determined to stop you as well. You see, getting past Murphy number 3 is a major breakthrough. By this time, your jungle skills have increased tremendously. Your skin is thickening more and more through every challenge you have through the jungle. You become more and more determined to make it to the other side of the jungle. And for the first time, you actually begin to embrace the atmosphere of the jungle. You have even developed enough skills and strategies to teach the newcomers and those who are sick and tired of being cows and are highly considering entering the jungle. You can tell them what gear to pack, what to expect, and how to effectively handle the potholes and the best route to take in order to avoid the occasional quicksand spots. Many rhinos actually use this avenue of teaching newcomers the techniques of successfully making it through the jungle as a source of revenue to support the remainder of their expedition through the jungle. By the way, even existing rhinos come and hear these strategies just to polish up and reinforce their jungle skills that they already have. Even existing rhinos come and hear these strategies just to polish up and reinforce their jungle skills that they already have. Okay, let's continue with our journey through the jungle. Several months and possibly years have passed since you first entered the jungle, and you may look and smell pretty bad. All of your family and your friends who remain in the cow pastures are thinking that you've absolutely lost your mind by this time. They just don't understand why you won't return to the security of the cow pastures. Oh well, you're used to it by this point. By the way, your skin is so thick now that it doesn't bother you much anymore. You continue to plunge forward, and all of a sudden you come to a swamp. It stinks and looks like manure. Woo! And you notice that there's no way around it. You must either go through the swamp or exit the jungle. At this point, some can't stand it anymore, so they decide to leave the jungle and re-enter the cow pastures, where they are happily embraced by their friends and family. Everyone is cheering and so forth. They're excited that they returned. They knew that you would come to your senses someday. Some decide to stay at the edge of the swamp for a while just to sharpen their horns before they enter the swamp. And then there's a few brave souls who decide to just go for it now. They step into the gooey, slimy, and stinky swamp and proceed across. The smell is so disgusting that they can hardly breathe. Murphy number 4 is laughing, as well as the rest of the committee. But at the same time, they are impressed because very few people make it to the swamp, and even less than that actually jump in. Murphy number 4, along with Murphy number 5, begin to shoot all sorts of arrows at you in a final effort to make you surrender. This is when everything that seems that could go wrong, goes wrong. It seems as if you'll never see the light on the other end. You start to doubt that the land of paradise even exists. Maybe someone close to you dies, or you get divorced after 5, 10, or 15 years of marriage, or you're forced to file bankruptcy, or your house is foreclosed on, or the IRS audits you and takes everything you own, or there's all kinds of things that could happen. Everything that seems that could possibly go wrong probably will. The important point to understand is that this is when you're closest to your goal. I know this is sometimes hard to believe, but believe me, it's true. Just ask any successful rhino and they will surely tell you so. You simply have to understand that Murphy number 5 and Murphy number 4 are making a final effort to stop you. If you persist during this stage, you have it made, because pretty soon they will get tired of messing with you. They'll say something like, hey, you see this guy Jerry, or just substitute your name for my name. You see this guy Jerry, he's still going. He doesn't seem to understand that you can't get by. I tell you what, he's no more fun. We've been messing with him for months. Actually, we've been messing with him for years, and it just doesn't seem like he's gonna get it. So why don't we just go ahead and let him go by, and we'll go ahead and pick on somebody else. All of a sudden, you find yourself in crystal clear light blue water walking towards the beach. It's the most incredible day you've ever seen, with the sun gently bouncing off your now clean rhino skin. The most beautiful woman, just substituted for handsome man for you ladies, greets you, kisses you, and escorts you to your AMG Mercedes-Benz super stretched limousine with personal chauffeur who greets you by name. As you drive down the freeway in the back of your limo, sipping a cool glass of Evian water, you pass a few cows. You look at their disgusting face and the sad looks that's coming from them. Occasionally, one would glance at the limo and you read their lips as they say, "Lucky folks." The chauffeur finally stops on top of a hill at a security gate and electronically opens it. You drive past a beautiful 7-foot water fountain in the center of the driveway. The chauffeur parks the limo in the garage and you get out and proceed to the elevator. As the elevator opens to the main entrance of the estate, you step onto a all-black marble floor. One of your maids hands you a cup of cappuccino, and you walk over to the living room where you have a majestic view of the city and ocean. A tear drops down your cheek as you think of where you have been and where you are now. The phone rings, and it's for you. It's an old friend who had the chance to enter the jungle when you did, but told you that you were crazy and that you'll never make it. You hear a slight strain in his voice and a silence on the other end of the line as he mutters the words, "I wish I had." You turn to your beautiful wife or handsome husband. You think about your healthy children who are playing tennis on your tennis court. You take a look at your bank account, which is well into the millions, and glance again out your window while looking at the sun as it sets across the ocean. You say to your old friend, "I'm glad I did." You see, the moral to this story and this whole concept of Murphy's Committee is this: accomplishing your dreams and goals will not be easy, but it will be worth it. There will be many times when you just want to quit and give up. Those are the times when you must keep pressing forward. Sooner or later, Murphy's Committee will get tired of beating you. But until that time comes, you had better have some compelling reasons why you're in the jungle. Because if you don't, then I can guarantee you that you won't make it. You will inevitably be an indistinguishable part of that 97% of our population that retired dead or dead broke. Let me go ahead and give you a jungle survival tip. If you're getting chased by a bear when you first enter the jungle, because since you don't have your rhino horn, you may get chased by a few bears initially, the key is this: don't quit when you get tired, quit when the bear gets tired. Don't stop and try to negotiate a deal with the bear. It will eat you alive. The point is this: bears don't negotiate. This is the same with the success that you want to achieve. You have to pay full price, and you have to pay the price in advance. Most people want the reward before they pay the price. As Earl Nightingale said, most people want the fire before they put the wood in. Think about this for a moment. If you walked into a bank and said, I have $100,000 and I want to deposit it into your bank, but before I do so, I want you to pay me interest on it for 1 year in advance. The banker would most likely call a mental institution to come and have you checked out. Get over the idea of getting something for nothing. Only cows think this way. I once heard that in life you win some, you lose some, and some get rained out, but you have to suit up for them all. You see, achieving your goals is like playing a football game. You can't win unless you score some points, and you're not going to score some points without getting some resistance from the opposite side. Murphy's Committee will definitely give you some resistance, and understand that that's their job and they are very good at it. However, if you understand the laws of the mind and the concept of Murphy's Committee, you will not be too disturbed by the appearance of ultimate defeat. Instead, you will rejoice and hold the vision of what it is you want, because you will also give thanks in advance that you have already accomplished it. Henry J. Kaiser said that problems are only opportunities in work clothes. Henry Ford said that failure is the opportunity to begin again more intelligently. You see, I want you to realize that you develop character by going through the struggles. Once you've made it through the other side of the jungle, you will be surprised of the small price that you actually had to pay, because you will be rewarded tenfold. Hey, I understand that statistically only a small percentage of our population will ever make it across the swamp, but that has nothing to do with you and I as individuals. Statistics are only relevant to the masses. All we have to do is make a decision to be one who makes it. Look, I also understand that this material may have struck a nerve or two with some of you, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. I believe that someone has to be willing to break it down to you and tell you the hardcore fact before it's too late. And remember this as you embark on your journey through life. Don't ask for life to be easy, ask for it to be worth it. You can pay the price for success, or you can pay the price for failure. Success costs pennies, but failure costs millions. I sincerely enjoyed our time on this tape, and I hope you decide to enter the jungle and experience life to its fullest. Remember, the jungle is where the action is. I hope to see you there.
Hello, my lovely, lovely listeners. I just want to big up a few people before we go on. Want to big up Nubia Allison and Mikey Dixon. Also the lovely Anita Brown, Sarah Joel, Emma Nichols, and Jen Tai Tai, Lola, The Sweetness. Lovely name. Lovely. Thank you so much, everybody, for all your responses and being here, and I hope you enjoyed that little thing I played for you there. It's by a gentleman called Jerry Clark. He's a black businessman in America, and he's really, as you probably heard in the play, that he's so so friendly, so natural, so kind of motivated to do well. So that really was just to kind of feed off the back of what Malik was saying, that, go for your dreams. Don't be somebody that, settles. Settling is not good. It doesn't feel good, and we didn't come here. We didn't make this journey to this planet to settle. So, that's what that was about. I just thought you might like to just have that to listen to after, listening to Malik. So, that's what Jerry's all about. So, one of the things I want to say, just remind you again that, going on Sunday to this event is very powerful. Now, what I'll say to you is, in the past, where I've been invited to events like this, it really changes your life. I remember the first seminar I went to, it literally changed my life. It changed the way I think. It changed the way, the way I looked at, what I could do and what I couldn't do. I was still scared, but it gave me that, it made me realise I can do it. And even if it's going to take longer because of nerves or, the old doubts that keep creeping in. So I would say to you, if you're sitting there and you're thinking, I'd like to go to this thing, but, I'm not sure, or, I've never been, or, I don't want to go on my own or whatever, just turn up. I went on my own and it was amazing. I made friends, so, and I was shy, so I made friends. So anybody can go along to this seminar. And, Malik is a lovely, lovely spirit, lovely, 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 lovely person, and he's going to make this an amazing event. So anyway, we're going to wrap up now. My second week, and I've loved it, and I'm on a high. And I just want to say, thank you for being part of the show. Thank you for all that, all your responses. Just want to say a big, big shout out to the lovely, phenomenal Minty and the management here. And I'm really happy to be part of this fantastic crew. I love, and the other presenters I want to big up as well. So anyway, we're going now. So I will be back next week, and I have got an amazing guest for you next week. I won't tell you who they are. You have to tune in next week to find out, but you're going to love it. You're going to love him. He's amazing. So make sure that you're back with us. And that's me. I'm out and I'm having so much fun. So thank you. And we're going to go out with the lovely Jean Adibambo, Reaching for a Goal.